A whistleblower is a person who exposes any kind of information or activity that is deemed illegal, unethical, or not correct within an organization that is either private or public. The information of alleged wrongdoing can be classified in many ways: violation of company policy/rules, law, regulation, or threat to public interest/national security, as well as fraud and corruption. Those who become whistleblowers can choose to bring information or allegations to surface either internally or externally. Internally, a whistleblower can bring his or her accusations to the attention of other people within the accused organization. Externally, a whistleblower can bring allegations to light by contacting a third party outside of an accused organization. Whistleblowers can reach out to the media, government, law enforcement, or those who are concerned but also face stiff reprisal and retaliation from those who are accused or alleged of wrongdoing. Third-party groups like WikiLeaks and others offer protection to whistleblowers, but that protection can only go so far. Whistleblowers face legal action, criminal charges, social stigma, and termination from any position, office, or job. Two other classifications of whistleblowing are private and public. The classifications relate to the type of organizations someone chooses to whistleblow on, private sector, or public sector. Both can have different results that depend on many factors. However, whistleblowing in the public sector organization is more likely to result in federal felony charges and jail time. A whistleblower who chooses to accuse a private sector organization or agency is more likely to face termination and legal and civil charges. Deeper questions and theories of whistleblowing and why people choose to do so can be studied through an ethical approach. Whistleblowing is truly an entirely ethical decision and action. In the case of many like Edward Snowden, whistleblowing is seen as the last ethically right thing to do. Legal protection can also be granted to protect whistleblowers, but that protection is subject to many stipulations. Hundreds of laws grant protection to whistleblowers, but stipulations can easily cloud that protection and leave whistleblowers vulnerable to retaliation and legal trouble. However, the decision and action has become far more complicated with recent advancements in technology and communication. Whistleblowers frequently face reprisal, sometimes at the hands of the organization or group which they have accused, sometimes from related organizations, and sometimes under law. Questions about the legitimacy of whistleblowing, the moral responsibility of whistleblowing, and the appraisal of the institutions of whistleblowing are part of the field of political ethics.
Hello. You probably heard the name Edward Snowden before. In June 2013, Snowden, former contractor for NSA, revealed classified documents of surveillance by the NSA. He decided to inform the public how the organization is spying on them through various types of electronic communication, such as mobile service providers, Google, Facebook, and so on. After disclosing to journalists in Hong Kong, he fled to Russia to obtain protected asylum, having been called a traitor and charged with 3 felonies. But guess what? Snowden is also seen as a hero and a patriot, and is currently nominated the 2014 Nobel Peace Prize. Everything I just mentioned is considered an act of whistleblowing. Now, what is a whistleblower, and how common are they around the world? In definition, a whistleblower is a person who makes a public disclosure of corruption and wrongdoing within an organization. Having said that, here are some examples of whistleblowers from the past. Dating back to 1963 until this day, some of these have been rewarded for their acts. Others have faced serious damages, including imprisonment, lawsuits, attempts of murder, etc. We can see that whistleblowing is not a common act within some countries. This could be a result of the consequences whistleblowers could face after exposing corruption. According to the survey in Royst's book, The Whistleblower, statistics show us the consequences that people face in result of disclosing the wrongdoing. It's a funny old world. You get punished for emerging the truth to the surface. But then, if we were to focus on the Middle East's lack of record whistleblowers, we could relate it to two things. First, Hofstede's cultural dimensions. Dr. Gerard Hofstede is a Dutch social psychologist, known for his cultural dimension theories. We will be focusing on two theories: power distance and individualism. Without question, countries with individualistic culture have more numbers of whistleblowers than those of collectivist cultures. Respectively, countries with lower power distance rises in whistleblowers in contrast to those with higher power distance. Second, whistleblower protection laws. Another possible reason for the lack of whistleblowers is the existence of whistleblower protection laws. Doubtlessly, protection laws, whether carried or ignored, provide an incentive to the public to disclose information knowing they are protected.
Our breaking news this evening is the identity of the man who sent the Obama administration into defend and explain mode this week. His name is Edward Snowden. He's an American former CIA employee and computer technician. Today, he came out as the leaker of classified NSA documents that spell out a secret surveillance program. Now, Snowden gave an on-camera interview to the Guardian newspaper, and we're playing it for you in its entirety. Here's some more of it. Listen.
One of the extraordinary parts about this episode is that usually whistleblowers do what they do anonymously and take steps to remain anonymous for as long as they can, which they hope often is forever. You, on the other hand, have decided to do the opposite, which is to declare yourself openly as the person behind these disclosures. Why did you choose to do that?
I think that the public is owed an explanation of the motivations behind the people who make these disclosures that are outside of the democratic model. When you are subverting the power of government, that's a fundamentally dangerous thing to democracy. And if you do that in secret consistently, as the government does when it wants to benefit from a secret action that it took, it'll kind of give its officials a mandate to go, hey, tell the press about this thing and that thing, so the public is on our side. But they rarely, if ever, do that when an abuse occurs. That falls to individual citizens, but they're typically maligned. It becomes a thing of these people are against the country, they're against the government. But I'm not. I'm no different from anybody else. I don't have special skills. I'm just another guy who sits there day to day in the office, watches what's happening, and goes, this is something that's not our place to decide. The public needs to decide whether these programs and policies are right or wrong. And I'm willing to go on the record to defend the authenticity of them and say, I didn't change these. I didn't modify the story. This is the truth. This is what's happening. You should decide whether we need to be doing this.
Have you given thought to what it is that the U.S. government's response to your conduct is in terms of what they might say about you, how they might try to depict you, what they might try to do to you?
Yeah, I could be, rendered by the CIA. I could have people come after me, or any of their third-party partners. They work closely with a number of other nations. Or they could pay off the triads, or any of their agents or assets. We've got a CIA station just up the road in the consulate here in Hong Kong, and I'm sure they're going to be very busy for the next week. And that's a fear I'll live under for the rest of my life, however long that happens to be. You can't come forward against the world's most powerful intelligence agencies and be completely free from risk, because they're such powerful adversaries that no one can meaningfully oppose them. If they want to get you, they'll get you in time. But at the same time, you have to make a determination about what it is that's important to you. And if living unfreely but comfortably is something you're willing to accept, and I think many of us are, it's the human nature. You can get up every day, you can go to work, you can collect your large paycheck for relatively little work against the public interest, and go to sleep at night after watching your shows. But